Hello everybody, my name is Marlo and today I'm going to be showing you how to build this hobbit hole in Minecraft. We have this beautiful overgrown entranceway as well as a small garden out the front. On through the doorway we have the home itself, which includes a cozy bedroom to rest your head at night, a kitchen which also has a super smelter built into it, which is always very helpful, a large chest room for all of your storage needs, and last but not least a small library which also functions as our enchanting room. I've tried to find a good mix between aesthetics and functionality with this build, so not only does it look nice, but it should also work pretty well as a survival base if that's what you're choosing to use it for. Hopefully it has everything that you can need. If you are choosing to build this in survival, you're going to want to take a quick look at the description down below for a full materials list of all of the items that we're going to be using. One last thing before we get started with the tutorial here, this build was inadvertently inspired by Gold Robin. It wasn't until after I finished designing this that I noticed the similarities between our hobbit holes. Now, I know the guy and I see all of his builds, so I think they must have stuck with me and subconsciously came off a little bit in the design. So maybe if you're looking to build multiple hobbit holes, make sure you check out his channel, which will be linked down below. He's got some fantastic builds and I really think you'll like them. First things first, we need to find a good spot to build this in. Now, chances of finding a perfect hill without needing to do any terraforming is unlikely. So as long as you can find something like this, you can just shave off some of the dirt so that when you're all done, you'll be able to fit a 15 block long and 5 block high area into the face of the hill. As long as you have at least that, you'll be fine to build the hobbit hole. Now don't worry too much about how flat and ugly this looks right now. We're going to be coming back to it later to do some more terrain modification to make it look slightly more natural. But for right now, just having a flat wall like this is going to make the building process a little bit easier. Also, before we get too far into this, just make sure the hill or mountain that you're building inside of is quite deep. You don't need to worry about the height, but it is 13 blocks long and 25 blocks wide. So just make sure you got a pretty big area and you're going to be able to fit the hobbit hole mostly inside. You may have something like this, like I do, where the hill kind of slopes down on the sides. Chances are the build is going to poke out slightly here when we're actually doing the interior, but that's okay because we can come outside and cover it up without having to put in too much effort. But as long as you've got a pretty big size, you'll be absolutely fine. Okay, with that all done, we can now finally get started with the actual build. So the first thing we're going to do is find the rough center of our hill. Mine is about here on this spot, I think, and we're just going to mark it with a temporary block. That is where the doorway is going to be going. But then either side of this, we're going to leave 2 blocks and we're going to place a stair facing away from it on either side. And then we're basically going to make 2 circles either side of this central block. So we're going to have 4 stairs like this, all kind of facing into each other. And we're going to place a trapdoor connecting them like that. Then on the 2 sides here, and we need to crouch when we place them on the back of the trapdoor, we're going to place 2 more like that just to make it a little bit thicker, as you can see. And then we're also going to place 1 more on top. So you can see we get this nice circular shape, which we can also quickly do around this side too. And when you're done, you should have 2 circles for some small windows. As for the middle part, all we need to do is just hop up to the top here and we're going to have 2 stairs facing outwards on top of those corner stairs with 2 upside down ones coming off the back. Then we're going to have a spruce trapdoor in front of the stair and on top of it. Same on this side, so it should look like this. Then we're going to have 2 slabs on top of those trapdoors with a stair in the middle. Now is the point where you can go around and do a little bit of terraforming on the terrain here to make it seem a bit more natural with the hobbit hole itself. It's not going to be getting much bigger than this, so you can kind of close in some of the sides so it comes a little bit closer to the outline. Not too close, but not so. It looks really small in comparison to the rest of the hill. Hopefully that makes sense. As you can see, that is looking a little bit better. I may even come back after we're done with the build and tweak it a little bit more. But generally, that's pretty good going. Hopefully yours looks similar too. But now what we can do is come to the center of the build here. I'm just going to poke out a 3x3 square like this. And then on the top 2 corner blocks, we're going to place in 2 upside down stairs. spruce trapdoor in the middle, and then 2 spruce trapdoors on the sides, just like that. We can then break these 3 back once again, and on the 2 sides here, we're going to have 3 stripped oak logs, just like that. Upside down oak stair in the middle, and then we'll just go back 1 more for now, so we can step inside and place down our doorway. We'll leave it like grass for now, I think. We're going to come back to it later and do a little bit more terrain modification, but for right now, that is fine. So there's our entranceway, and real quickly, just for a little bit of light outside, we can place a lantern in the center. Now we can go ahead and replace these dirt blocks with something else. I'm going to be using some birch logs, the stripped kind, and birch planks. Now all we're doing is kind of just mixing those 2 together to get a little bit of texture into the walls, so you can kind of do that as you will, or you can copy exactly what I'm going to do. So we're going to start off with a log, then have 2 planks, then another log, a plank, then a sideways log this time, just for a little bit of a change, another log, another plank, another log sideways, another plank, and then 1 more log down the bottom. As I said, it doesn't really matter how you do this, it's just so we're not using the same block all the way around. We'll do a similar thing over here on the smaller section, so we're just going to go ahead and get rid of all of those, but we're going to start with a birch stair with an oak trapdoor on top of it. And then all I will say is when you're placing in the logs, try and make it so you can't see the side of the log like this. I just think it looks a little bit better that way. So we'll start off with a log, then 2 birch planks, then a sideways one as opposed to vertical because you can see the bottom there. So sideways, then we'll go with a plank, then we'll go with a log and another plank there. As I said, doesn't really matter too much, but what we are going to do, just to finish it off here, we're going to place a spruce trapdoor as a bit of a shutter on the front of the oak trapdoor. I've also done a similar thing on this side. As you can see with the log arrangement, I've gone log at the bottom, log on the side, and sideways log at the top corner there. Everything else is birch planks, not forgetting the stair at the bottom. And of course, the trapdoor in front of the trapdoor. Now we can make a little fence around our garden, which will start afterwards. So on the side of the hobbit hole here, by this stair, we're going to have a fence. Then we're going to have 2 fence gates, then another fence. Then 2 more fences here, a fence gate, 2 more fences, fence gate, and fence. So just to repeat on the other side, fence, fence gate, fence, then 2 fences, and then a fence gate here. Should be in line with that trapdoor. 2 fences here and here, another fence gate in line with those birch blocks, and then 1 more here. The 2 of them should lead into the center here with a 1 block gap in between them both. Now we can start work on the garden, and the first thing we're going to make is a super cute wheelbarrow design. I saw this online a long time ago. I know a lot of people use it, so it's not my design, but I don't know who the original creator was. But as you can see, very simply, it's just a composter, grindstone on the front, and then an opened spruce fence gate on the back for little handles. It's 2 blocks away from these birch blocks, as you can see. I'm also just going to place some seeds on the inside to fill up all of the compost just like this, and we should get the white bits on top. Perfect. Now what we can do is place in a couple of water sources for our crops that we're going to be putting here. And what we're going to do is break this block, and we're going to place in a stair facing towards the build, and we're going to waterlog it like that on both of the sides. So flip up the trapdoor, break the dirt, place in the stair, and waterlog that stair just like so. Now what we can do is grab our hoe, and from this stair we're going to till these 2 blocks, then these 3, then these 3, and then these 5. So it should be a little area like this, basically all the way out until the actual fence. On this side it's a little bit difficult because we have the wheelbarrow in the way obviously, but basically just work your way around it and it'll be fine. Now one quick thing to mention, as you can see, we don't want to be able to see the blocks underneath those that we've already placed down. So where we have our stair, we're just going to replace that dirt with a spruce block, and underneath the birch, we're just going to replace it with a birch block. And as you can see, doing that looks a lot neater than what we have over here. So let's just do it the same on this side too. We're just going to till a few more blocks here in the center so we don't have this clear cut path right through the middle. We want it to look a little bit more natural. So on the left hand side, we're going to till 1 block here and 1 block here. And on the right side, we'll do 1 here and 1 over here. So it should look like this. That way our path through the middle is a bit more windy. But now we're going to go ahead and plant some crops on all of our farmland here. Of course, I'm going to be using all 4 because I think it looks really cool that way. But if you want to be a bit more efficient and just have this as your food source, feel free to just stick with carrots, potatoes, or whatever you want. You can do all the same or do a mix of 4 like I am here. So we're going to start with a wheat in the corner, then we'll do 5 there and 2 more there, and the rest of these can become potatoes. Over on this side, we'll do 2 carrots, then 4 carrots, and maybe 1 more here, and then the rest can become beetroot. And eventually that will all grow up. Probably not as quick as mine is here, but it is really cool to look at once it's all done. Now I'm just walking on my pathway through the middle here, making it look a little bit more walked upon instead of just having the clean grass all the way through the middle. Of course, similar to how we did the texturing with the birch, it doesn't really matter how you place this down, but if you want to do it exactly as I have here, this is what it looks like when it's all done. So just go around and mix in the coarse dirt and path blocks like I have here. All we're going to be doing to finish off the outside here is a little bit of landscaping, and by that I mean we're going to be placing in some grass just like this and some leaves kind of draping over the front. So if you want to mix in some flowers with the grass, all you need to do is just get a handful and kind of place them down sporadically. You can also bone meal, but it tends to give you quite a lot of grass, maybe a little bit too much, so that's not done, but that's the sort of thing I'm going to be doing, just kind of going around and placing down some of this. But like I said, if you want to use bone meal, that's fine too. As for the leaves, I'm just going to kind of start at the top here and sort of bring them down, not in a perfectly straight line, but kind of just like, as I said, draping them over the top. I don't want to cover up too much of the build, so I'll probably go off to the side there and maybe just come a little bit off the front here. You get the idea, just kind of starting at the top and having them kind of go off in separate directions in a line. As you can see, I decided to add in some flowers. We've got flowering azaleas, poppies, dandelions, and cornflowers, which just adds a nice pop of color. But with all of this done, the build on the outside is now complete. We can now head inside and start work on the whole part of the Hobbit hole. So once we're in this 1x2 hole just in front of the doorway, we're going to come to the left or the right hand side and we're going to dig out 12 blocks in this direction, top and bottom. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12. Then we'll do the same on the other side. And as you can see, we've breached through to the outside. As I said in the start of the video, that's fine. We'll just have to do some terraforming on this part of the land after we're all done. Don't worry about it too much. It's not going to be that bad. But now, from either side here, so from both of the corners, we're going to face into the mountain here, and we're going to go 11 blocks. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. Then we can quickly run round to the other side and do the same again. And from this point, all you want to do is look back into the center here, and we're just going to dig all the way across, and that's 25 blocks in total. Well, 50 if you count the top and bottom as well. Having a beacon might be best to set up for this part, but as you can see, we eventually reach this corner over here. So you can go ahead and get rid of this whole middle section, as well as 4 blocks on top. So we're going to have 1, 2, 3, and 4. Hopefully that shouldn't breach out the top on most of it, but that's the idea here. Just dig out this whole rectangle, and it should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 blocks high. As you can see, I've got pretty unlucky with my terrain here. There's quite a lot of the outside area exposed, but that's totally fine. We just have to place a bunch of dirt to make it look a bit more natural again. It's not that big of a deal. Hopefully yours isn't quite as exposed as mine is. But we're not done digging just yet. We do actually have to remove this whole face of the hill. So facing our doorway, all of these blocks in line with it, they have to go. And now you should be left with this, which looks even uglier and harder to fix. But like I said, don't worry, it'll be fine. We'll just finish up the interior first and worry about terraforming it afterwards. So the first thing we're going to do, facing our doorway here, either side of the oak logs, we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4 barrels just like that, all facing the same direction. So make sure you're placing them facing down or up. You want them all to be pointing the same way. On top of these 3 blocks, we're just going to have 3 spruce planks, and we're also going to stick 3 more on top of it again. Then either side of our oak trapdoor window here, we're going to have some stripped spruce logs, so 4 of them coming all the way up. We're going to have a spruce stair at the bottom, upside down at the top, with another full plank on top of it. And then we can do the same over here too, so 2 stairs, a plank, and then 8 spruce stripped logs. On the 2 sides, we can grab our strip logs once again, and we're going to have 4 of them just like that coming in diagonally from this one. Then we're going to leave a gap of 3 and do the same once more. Then we can have 3 spruce planks along the top, and then quickly we just need to grab some trapdoors. And what we're going to do is make another one of our circles. Hobbits, of course, love their circular entrances, so we're just going to be building one of them like that, as you can see, and super quickly we can do the same on this side too. With that done on both of the sides, we can do this 4th side over here. So pretty much exactly what we've been doing. We're going to have 4 stripped spruce logs, leave a gap of 3, and place in 5 this time. Then we're going to have 5 spruce planks, and then 5 stripped logs once again, leave a gap of 3, and 4 stripped logs. So we should have 4, 5, 5, 5, 4. And then, in line with this top log, we're going to have 3 spruce planks coming all the way over. And then we're just going to have our circular doorways like we've done multiple times already in this video on both of these entrances here. Just like that. As for the ceiling, all we're going to do is start with some stripped oak logs. On the sides of the walls, we're just going to add 1, 2, 3 on both of the spots like that. So it should be empty, log, empty, log, empty. And we're going to do that on both of the sides, as I said. And then we're going to have 2 upside down oak stairs on the front of those logs. And on top of the stairs, we're just going to have some oak slabs. And then from those oak slabs, we want to have some more horizontal logs. So we should have something like this. Now what we can do from this block right here, and we're going to do this for each of these sections. So the left, the middle, and the right. We'll start on the middle though. We're going to have 2 slabs. Then we're going to have 2 more slabs up by half a block. And then we're going to have 3 slabs, then 2 slabs again, and 2 more slabs here. So you can see it kind of gradually goes up and then back down. And we can go ahead and do that for the other sections too. And that is the ceiling all done. We're not going to worry about the floor just yet. We'll come back and do all of the floors at once for each of the rooms because I need to do a little bit of explaining. But something we can do is just make a little bit of an archway for our entrance here. So all we're going to do, very similar to what we have on the outside here, in fact almost a replica. We're going to build just the same archway like that with 2 upside down stairs, trapdoor in the middle, and 2 on the side. Except we're just going to make it a little bit thicker. So on the sides, we're going to place in 3 more trapdoors on both of them, just like that. And along the top, we're just going to have 3 more. And there we go. That's a nice little archway entranceway to the Hobbit hole. Or exit, maybe this should be called. The next part we're going to work on are the 2 side rooms, which are the bigger of all of them. So either got the right door or the left door over here. And we're going to start by placing in some barrels next to the strip logs here. And we're going to place in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 of them. It may be easier to actually place them in upside down if you're in survival. But just next to that, we want to extend the logs by 2. And then we also want to place in 2 more spruce planks and 2 more here to the side. So as you can see, it kind of goes up in an arch, which is going to be copying what the ceiling does. But now we have this, we're going to copy what we have here to the side of the barrels round to the other side. So we'll have 6 strip logs once again, then we'll leave a gap of 3 and we'll place in just 5 strip logs actually we need because this is a bit of a bigger room. So extend that one as well. But then we can have 1, 2, 3, and 4 of these spruce planks, then 3 more, and we're just going to make another one of our archways like we've been doing multiple times. You should be able to build these blind by now, I would imagine. And we're going to be building some more still. On the 2 shorter sides, we're going to start with some spruce planks, and we're going to bring them up so they're 5 blocks high. Then we're going to place in 4 barrels, then 5 spruce planks, then 4 barrels, and another 5 spruce planks. Something I will quickly mention is in the corners here, it's probably wise to put a torch or fill them in with some other block just so you don't have to worry about mob spawning, because mobs definitely will spawn in a hole like that. But once you've done it on this side, you can also go ahead and copy it on this side too. As for the longer side over here, we're going to start off with some spruce planks, and we're going to place in 5 of those, then leave a gap and place in 5 more. And we're going to do that on both of the sides, just like that. Then we're going to place in some barrels in between, and those need to go up to the same height. So those are also 5 blocks high, just like that. As for this 5 block wide middle section, we're going to go all the way up to the ceiling here. So that's 6 spruce planks and 6 more there. And then for these middle 3 sections, we just want to place in some barrels going all the way up to the highest point that it possibly can. I know this is very, very expensive. There's probably a lot of tree chopping involved for this build, but I like the side texture of the barrel. It's really, really nice. As for the ceiling, the first thing we're going to do is just place in 2 more blocks here above these barrels so we can place some oak logs on the front of them. Simple as that. So that's 2 stripped oak logs on the front of those spruce blocks, or anything else. Dirt would be fine. You can't see it, so it doesn't matter. But then in front of them, we're going to do a similar thing to what we have in here, basically. Place in some upside down stairs, and on top of those stairs, we'll have some slabs. And from those slabs, we'll have some oak logs coming all the way across. And very simply to what we have over here, once again, we'll start on the middle. We have 2, then 1, and then we have 5 in the center here. So it's slightly different, but pretty much the same sort of thing. Of course, do it for these 2 sections as well. Once again, don't worry about the floor, we'll come back to it later. But what you can do is over here on the other side, do the exact same thing once again, because it is a symmetrical build and is completely identical to the side we've just done. With the 2 larger rooms now done, we can start work on the final 2 smaller rooms over here. So the first thing we're going to do next to these middle spruce planks, we're just going to add in some stripped spruce logs going 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 blocks high. Then we're going to leave 3 blocks in the middle and place in 5 more logs. We're also just going to slap a torch down there for the same reasons I said before. And then in line with the top block here, we're going to have 3 planks, then 3 more, and we're just going to make another one of our circular doorways, just like that. And that is the middle divider for the 2 rooms. As for the 2 walls here, they are completely identical, so all we need to do is just grab some spruce planks to begin with, bring these up 5 blocks high, and we're going to have 3 of those, and then very simply in the middle of them, as you may have guessed, we're going to be having some barrels, and this can then be copied over to the other room too. With both of those walls now done, we can build the ceiling above us. But first, we just need to expand this wall a little bit upwards. So we're going to have a strip log there and 3 planks in the middle. Same again over on this side too. As for the ceiling, super simply, on each of the middle of the 4 walls here, we're going to be having some stripped oak logs coming into the center. And then on these 4 blocks on the corners here, on the top part of the block that is, so make sure you're clicking on the top part of this very top block, we're going to be having 4 slabs just like so. In the center here, you could just have a slab, or you could have a crafting table. This can actually be used from underneath and has the same texture as a slab, so just a bit of utility incorporated there too. But of course, as you may have guessed, copy this ceiling for the other room too. And just like that, all of our walls and ceilings are done. Now it's time to tackle the floors. So what we're going to be doing for this, in each of the 5 separate rooms, we're going to be having a different floor type. In the center room here, we're going to be using some stripped birch. In the chest and storage room, we're going to be using some stripped dark oak wood, jungle in the kitchen, mangrove in the bedroom, and stripped acacia in the library / enchanting area. Now, admittedly, you may not be able to get your hands on all of these wood types. If you can, perfect. I'd recommend you use them just for a bit of color diversity in here. But if not, it's fine to just use a couple or maybe 1 all the way through. The only thing I'm going to say is don't use stripped wood, spruce that is, because otherwise there's no difference between the floor and the wall and it won't look the best. So use anything you want other than spruce. So we're going to build all of these floors in virtually the same way, but let me just show you with the starter room here, using the birch as an example. Obviously, first things first, we need to get rid of the floor. Just like that. And every single one of these blocks is going to become a stripped birch log. So we're going to start in the corner here and we're going to place them against the stone and we're going to skip every other block. And then we're going to place all of the rest of the blocks on the side of the stripped birch block. Then we kind of want to repeat that, placing it on the side, going all the way across, skipping the blocks, then placing it on the side once again. pretty much all we're doing is making a checkerboard pattern here, and the only rule is don't ever place it on the front of the log like that. You always want to be placing it on the side of the log, so we get this cool texture which I absolutely love using for floors. So of course do that for the chest room here using the dark oak wood, the kitchen using the jungle logs, mangrove for the bedroom, and of course acacia for the enchanting room. And when we're all done, we should have all of these different floor colors, which I think looks amazing. Before we start the fun bit of decorating our hobbit hole, we should probably head back outside and fix this terraforming nightmare. Which isn't much of a nightmare, as I've been saying, but it is definitely going to require some work. So with this terraforming, the first thing I'm going to do is place a bunch of dirt right onto the wood blocks. That way we can get as close as possible to the actual hobbit hole. After that, really you just want to try and make it look as natural as possible. I've got no good way of explaining how to do this without going super in depth, which I don't think is really needed. You guys know what you're doing. You can just have a look around at the natural terrain surrounding you and do your best to copy that to the best of your ability. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect, just don't leave it looking super boxy. Of course, make sure you touch up on the leaves, flowers and grass too. Now we can start decorating. So this room that we're going to begin with here doesn't really serve any sort of utilitarian purpose, it's just to look nice. So the first thing we're going to do is build a fireplace right in the center here in front of our doorway. So we're going to start with 2 full blocks there, then 2 stairs facing outwards, an upside down stair in the middle, and then we're going to break this slab and just go 1, 2 and 3 mud bricks like that. Then we can have a mud brick wall in front of both of those blocks with a flower pot on top. We can also break this birch log and we're going to replace that back one there with a spruce plank. We're going to replace these 2 here with some mud bricks, and then we're also going to replace the bottom one there with another mud brick. Place a campfire at the bottom there, specifically a campfire, not a fireplace, otherwise this whole thing's going to catch on fire. But then in front of it we can place a fence gate. Now we can quickly head outside and just make that fireplace connect to a chimney. It's not actually going to connect, but I'm going to pretend it is. So I think a pretty good spot for mine is going to be in line with this stair, just a couple of blocks back right here. So I'm just going to place in 2 blocks coming out of the ground, stick a campfire on top and surround it with spruce trapdoors. How does that look for height? Yeah, I think any higher would have been too much. So just find a good spot for it. I'd say off to one of the sides should be good, and go ahead and build a nice smoking chimney. Now over here, just to the right of the doorway, we're going to make a little bit of a table and chairs. So that's 2 oak stairs facing into each other, oak fence in the middle with a pressure plate on top of the fence, just like that. Over on this side, we're going to make a little bit of a carpeted area, super simply like that, for our furry friend. Thankfully, I prepared one earlier. He's sitting there patiently. So I think most people in this game have some sort of pet. Correct me if I'm wrong. If not, you should, because pets are fun and nice to have around for company. So move your wolf, cat, or dog I should say, fish, donkey, camel. Camels aren't in Minecraft. Whatever you want, just stick it on the mat here for a nice little bit of decoration and also a nice cozy spot for your pet to chill out at. So also in these corners here, this spot and this one over here, we're going to have a chest this side with a spruce trapdoor on the top of this block here. So it should be in line with that trapdoor. And then over here, we're going to have the similar thing, but 2 trapdoors. So the first block at the bottom is going to be a trapdoor. And then in the same spot, we're going to have another one. And these basically serve as shelves. So on top of this trapdoor, we're going to have a lantern. And on top of this top trapdoor, we're going to have a flower pot with something inside. And because we can't have a full block in there because it's occupied by the trapdoor, we need to do some sort of entity. So we're going to have an item frame with a cookie inside or some other food type. Hobbits love their food, so it probably makes sense to have some lying around. So that is this room all done. We can now move on to the dark oak room, which is going to be our storage room. So the first thing we're going to do is actually grab some utility blocks and face them on this wall right here. So crafting table, stone cutter, smithing table, and cartography table. Always helpful to have on hand, especially these 2. Now we can grab some chests, and we're going to be placing quite a lot of these because, well, it's handy to have a lot of storage. Not forgetting you can also use the barrels if needed. But what we're going to do on the shorter sides here, we're going to placing 6 double chests just like that. Same again over on this side too. So we've already got 12 double chests in total. Maybe this is too much storage, but as I said, I don't think you can have too much. So then on the bigger side here, we're going to skip a block and we're going to place in 4 double chests this side, making sure we stay facing this way. And then we're going to skip another block and do the same again. So we got 2 lines of the 4 high. Then we're going to do the same on this side. And I've just turned around facing this wall simply so we can have a little bit of symmetry with how the chests are actually orientated. Not needed, but it pleases my brain, so we're going to go ahead and do it. Now, just for a little bit of decoration inside of this room, we're going to have 2 trapdoors on these 2 spots either side. So that's in line with the bottom chests and also the top chests. On the top trapdoors, we're going to have some lanterns, and then in the center, we're also going to hang one down from that log up there, just so we can get a little bit of brightness in the middle here. And then on the bottom trapdoors, we're just going to have some flower pots with some flowers inside of them. And last but not least, we're just going to place in 2 temporary blocks here, and we're going to slap a painting down just like that. So that is the storage room all done. Now we can head over to the other side here and start work on our miniature library / enchanting room. So we're going to start off just next to these table and chairs here on the other side by placing a single bookshelf, then 2, then 3, then 3 again. Then we're going to slap a torch in this spot because it's in the corner. It would be a waste of bookshelves. I'm making you craft enough already. I might as well save you 3 where I can. So then we're just going to go all the way across here with our bookshelves. And we're going to stop on that wall. Then on this section, we're going to come out by 3 blocks and go 3 high once again. And on this corner, we're just going to have 3 like that. Last but not least, on this side right here, we just want to have a 3x3 square of some more bookshelves. And all we can do now is just go around and place in some oak trapdoors on top of all of the bookshelves, just for a little bit of a rim going around. Not on these 2, by the way. We're going to be placing something on them, but on these 3 as well. You can also put your enchanting table in the center here, so just in line with the middle of the room basically, and as you can see, you do get 30 levels from this thing. Oh my goodness, that's a good hell. So you don't have to worry about placing down any more bookshelves. We have enough. Quick tip, if you're wondering how on earth you can even begin to get this many bookshelves, I'd really recommend you build a hoglin farm. They take next to no time at all, and you can get pretty much unlimited leather. It's really, really good, and I would highly recommend it. Have a look around online for some tutorials. Over here in this corner, just to the left of the enchanting table, we're going to make a little bit of a reading nook. So we're going to have an oak stair there with an oak sign on the side for a little bit of an armchair, and a lectern just in front, obviously with a book and quill on top of it, so we get the open book look like that, which I think looks great. And then we're just going to place in some carpets surrounding it. Now, unfortunately, can't place one there because the sign's occupying the block, so we're going to have to remove the log and replace it with a full wall block. But there we go, got a nice cozy reading corner. Now we're going to place a lantern here on top of this bookshelf, and then a flower pot on top of the next one up. Over on the other side, we're going to place in some more shelves. So on this block here, we're going to place in a trapdoor, then another one 2 blocks down, just like that. On top of this bottom one, we're going to have a grindstone, maybe facing this way might be a little bit better. And we're going to have a lantern on top of the trapdoor. Don't just place it, whoops, not like that. We don't want it on top of the top block hanging down. We want it actually on the trapdoor. So maybe go up here and just place it like that. Then we're going to place an anvil on the floor, just like so, with a spruce trapdoor 1 block above it, and just a little bit of a decorative amethyst bud like that, for a nice little bit of colour and magic involved in the library. Last but not least, we just need a few paintings dotted around. So one of them is going to be going here on this barrel, and then we're going to have 2 more, sorry, here and here. So we need some temporary blocks just next to them on the right hand side, and we just want to place in a couple and get whatever paintings that you want up on display. One last thing I nearly forgot about, and that is a chain and a lantern here, just on the back wall there in the center above the enchanting table. But that is the library room all done. We can now move over to the next room, the mangrove room, which is the bedroom. So what we're going to do to begin with here is just place down a light grey bed, or any colour is fine, but it's going to depend on what banners you use too. So I think light grey is quite nice, but then we're going to grab some spruce trapdoors, and on the second block up, on the top of the block, we're going to place 2 there like that, and a grey banner here on the first block either side, and then a light grey banner. These are just kind of meant to be curtains surrounding the bed for a little bit of privacy. Then at the foot of the bed, we're going to have a spruce sign, and just above the bed, we're going to have another 2 high painting, trying to get the one I don't have already, and there we go, just like that. Just to the left of the bed in this corner over here, we're going to have a composter with 2 leaves on top of it for a little bit of an indoor bush slash plant. Then over here in this corner, we can have an ender chest, and then 1 block above it, we'll have a spruce trapdoor with some sort of flower pot, just like that. And over here in this corner to the right of the bed, we'll have a scaffolding with a lantern for a little bit of a side table. And then we're going to have another spruce trapdoor here in line with the middle of the painting, and that's going to have yet another flower pot on top of it. For the final corner over here to the left of the bed, we're going to go ahead and remove the block in the corner and replace it with 1, 2, 3 and 4 snow layers. Then we can have an armor stand placed on top of it with some sort of helmet that's going to go on display. And basically what we're going to do is piston push a note block, which mine looks like a crate, but yours can look like the regular note block, totally fine. I think it still looks a bit like a crate anyway. But the point is, we're going to place the note block here with a piston on top of it, and we're just going to push it down into the armor stand. So pulse it once, and then just put any block there and pulse it again. Get rid of the piston, the button, and the other block here. And as you can see, it just kind of looks like the helmet's out on display. Really cool little trick. I think it looks great. Just make sure you don't bunch it or anything like that. Now what we can do is just place a spruce trapdoor on top of this block right here, and we're going to have a full armor stand out on display, of course with some armor on top of it. So now only 1 room remains, and that is the kitchen. So the first thing we're going to do is on the left side, we're going to place 2 blast furnaces, and on the right side, 2 smokers. In the center here, we're going to have 1 and 2 furnaces, and leave this middle block open. In fact, we're just going to go ahead and break it for now. Then we can turn around to this corner over here, so the side of the storage, and we're going to pillar up facing into the room with 2 looms, just like that. That way we can't see the front texture of the loom, and kind of looks like some drawers or something like that. Going to stick a chest on top, and then we're going to have 1 and 2 shelves over here, lantern, and then a flower pot on top of the top one. The last thing we're going to do here is build the super smelter. Now, if you're not wanting to build this or don't have the materials for it, you are done. Congratulations, thanks for watching. But if you are going to build it, well, follow along closely and I'll show you what to do. Now, this is a 8 furnace super smelter. If you want to build it longer with more furnaces, just dig further, basically. But for 8 blocks long, what we're going to do, pretty much from this wall right here, so behind all of the barrels and the spruce, we're going to dig a 5 by 5 by 10 blocks deep tunnel. Just like that. As you can see, 5 by 5 by 5 by 5, and it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 blocks all the way down here. First things first, we're going to place the barrel where all of our items are going to go, which is right in the middle here, and we're just going to place it backwards so it looks like this from the front. So all of your smelted items will go into this barrel. So from the back of it, shifting as you do this or crouching, we're going to place in 8 hoppers. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 of those. Just make sure you're placing them all into each other. Then on top of all of those hoppers, we can have 8 furnaces. Doesn't really matter which way you place these, just make sure they're on top. And then from the side, that is the left-hand side. So if you're looking at the Hobbit hole, the left-hand side, we're going to place in all of our hoppers into the front of the furnace. And then we also need 8 more going into the top of the furnace. Next up, we're just going to go ahead and break these 2 barrels right here in line with the top of the hopper. And we can step outside and just place in 2 spruce trapdoors either side like that with a lever on that spot right there. Now this isn't going to do anything to the trapdoors, don't worry, it's just to send the minecart on their way. Also make sure the trapdoors are level with the barrel. But now we can go ahead and just grab some spruce planks, and all we're going to do here is extend the end of this hopper line by 1 block and then just put another plank up like that. This is to bounce the minecart back into its starting position. We also need another minecart, or not minecart, sorry, another spruce plank right here. So now we're going to do the left line first of all, so this one over here. And what we're going to do to begin with is place in a powered rail, then a regular rail, then just a whole line of powered rails going all the way over to this side over here. Now, something funky might happen for you here, it might not. For me, it is going to happen. So what we want to do to counteract that is just don't worry about the top rail for now. All we want to do is put this block down by one and extend it over temporarily. And then we want to bring this rail all the way across to this spot right here. Then we're going to have two regular rails, a powered rail on top of the barrel, a regular, and then another powered. And then what we can do is come back over here, break this rail and move that block back up, and everything is as it should be. All we have left to do now is power the rails and also cover it up so you can't see through to any of the stone or dirt behind here. So the first thing we're going to do is power the rails. First block we're going to place down is right here, just in between these two, and we're going to place a lever on top. That one gets this rail, and this gets all the way down till the very end here, so we can place our other lever down at the bottom. And every single rail, with the exception of the front two, should now be powered. Before we go ahead and cover it up, I'm going to recommend you place a couple of torches in this area just so you don't get any mob spawning. But now we're going to go ahead and place a line of spruce planks just next to all of these hoppers here, just like that. And then we're also starting from this block right here, just going to place a line of these two high all the way across. Then we can continue this line to make it a little bit higher to enclose it next to all of the rails. We also need one here. Pretty much you're just placing it so you can't see anything through from the kitchen. But then finally we just need to put a little bit of a ceiling on top of this one. And we're probably going to get stuck here, so I don't know the best way to do this. Maybe let's just get right up until our ceiling is done, like that. And then we can punch through the wall here, replace those two back down, and then we'll get through this way. It's a little bit finicky, but if it works, it works. And there we go, we are done. So as you can see, you're not able to see through to the cave or anything like that. All you can see is spruce, which certainly looks better. So the last thing we can do is place our minecarts down, and if we flick the levers, those will be sent on its way. The one on the left here is for your smeltable items, and the one on the right is for your fuel. And as I said, all of the items that have been smelted will come into this hopper or barrel at the bottom. So there we go, everybody. That is the Hobbit hole tutorial all done. I really hope you enjoyed watching. Thank you ever so much for doing that, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.